All right, so let's talk about some big breaking news that is happening on Truth Social that Trump posted within the last 8, 9, 10 hours. And this is big because the news agencies, they're not posting about this. And people will look at some of these posts and say, oh, Trump is just saying things and just being himself again and being a sore loser or saying certain things. But this is big because he made a series of posts, and these are big allegations, and so big that if you were to sue somebody for defamation, then you would have to show this proof. And right now, because everybody's quiet, people are wondering what's really going on behind closed doors. And I believe justice is coming. And I believe some of this, if you research it, there's a lot of truth behind it. So let's go into what he said. Let's go over some posts and some Q posts and many other things and tie them together and then talk about what might be next. All right, so Trump posted this, and oftentimes he will do some memes and different things, but here it's outright outlined what he retruthed. So he retruthed something that Gunther Eagleman posted, which links back to a Newsmax video that's about a minute long, which I'll play here, and then we'll read what it says.
It should shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting in July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a 3-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
And again, this post was reposted from Gunther and then reposted by Trump. And then just a few hours ago, he posted this 2-minute video. So let's take a look.
We knew Hillary created the dossier, and now we have proof that Barack was calling the shots and the documents to prove it.
Declassified documents revealing former CIA Director John Brennan briefed then-President Obama on Hillary Clinton's purported plan to smear then-candidate Trump in 2016, adding to what the National Intelligence Director has already declassified on this issue, and raising more questions tonight about how much more of this will come out before Election Day. Good evening, Mike.
Brett, good evening. These are handwritten notes from former CIA Director John Brennan, written according to a source familiar after Brennan briefed President Obama. At one point, Brennan writes, quote, approved by Hillary Clinton, a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. The notes say on 28 of July, in the margin, Brennan writes POTUS, but that section of the notes are redacted. Then it says any evidence of collaboration between Trump campaign and Russia. The remainder of the notes are redacted, except in the margins where it says JC, Dennis, and Susan. That could be referring to former FBI Director James Comey, former Obama Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough, and former National Security Advisor Susan Rice. The CIA sent a memo to former FBI Director James Comey and Peter Strzok writing, quote, the following information is provided for the exclusive use of your Bureau for background investigative action or lead purposes as appropriate. One example the CIA includes, quote, an exchange redacted discussing U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. At a hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee last week, Comey was pressed on what he did with information provided by the CIA.
Did you open an investigation?
I don't know what that refers to. As I said earlier, that does not ring any bells with me when I read that.
You did not receive any investigative referral of this nature?
I don't remember it. I don't remember receiving anything that's described in that letter.
We knew Hillary created the dossier, and now we have proof that Barack was calling the shots and the documents to prove it.
And although this is not new news in the sense of it being reported on from 2016 and even all of the Q posts, if you look at it even from post one, talking about how Clinton extradition, all this happening where people being detained or arrested, all this stuff will happen at some point. But the issue here is the public accepting it. Here in post one, it says, expect massive riots organized in defiance and others fleeing the U.S. to occur. And even post four saying POTUS will not be addressing nation on any of these issues as people begin to be indicted and must remain neutral for pure optical reasons. Obama, Soros, Ross, Clintons have more power than present-day POTUS. Operation Mockingbird. Patriots are in control. Sit back and enjoy the show. So what he's saying there with his series of posts is becoming more overt and more outright when he's reposting some of these stuff that the Anons are posting. Look at this other couple of posts. He retruthed something from Stephen Rambert, who said, I hope they arrest you before your grand opening of your war bunker in south side of Chicago. You committed treason targeting the president of the United States with Hillary Clinton. It's time we prosecuted someone for treason and send a message. Remember, Trump officially retruthed this. And then if you scroll down a little bit on a different post, like within the same hour, Hillary Clinton funded, approved, and created the Steele dossier. Barack Obama called the shots, and Brennan's CIA did the dirty work. The evidence is clear. Treason was committed. Now they must pay or they will do it again. Americans demand it. And even his recent post with the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, retruthing something that Elon Musk mentioned. Their scam worked for decades. We pay people to be racist so we can fight racism. And a lot of posts from Elon over the last year, when he did the Doge and the fraud investigation, a lot of the money, all of that is being exposed right now as we speak. And he's dropping a lot of clues for a lot of the normies and Anons to slowly digest and research on their own. Now, remember, it's going to be chaos when Obama and Hillary and many others are indicted and arrested, prosecuted. The whole world is going to be shocked in a sense when and if that happens in the next however long it is. And so Trump is allowing this drop to happen in a orderly and in some sequential manner such that it makes people slowly understand and see it. And so even in this recent interview he did, where he clearly tied Obama to something horrific in Iran. So listen to what he says.
And then I ended the Obama horror show. The nuclear transaction that he made was horror. I gave him a road to the, you call it, I mean, what the deal that he did, the Iran nuclear deal, was so bad. It gave him a road to a nuclear weapon. And I will tell you, I deal with him. You cannot give Iran a nuclear weapon. This is all about a nuclear weapon. They cannot have the nuclear bomb, and they're not going to have the nuclear bomb.
And again, this is not the first time he's saying this, but it's very clear where he's going with this. He wants the nuclear dust. And I mentioned that in a different video so that we can get evidence that Obama and the cash pallets, and again, he's posted about this many times, Q has mentioned this many times, all of that being an illegal, treasonous deal working with state-sponsored terrorism nations like Iran or the Revolutionary Guard, not the people of Iran, but that regime. And if that were to come out in the sense of it being proof and all that stuff, you're going to have a field day with media, maybe outright rejecting it, reporting against Trump about this, questioning him, just like questioning the 2020 elections and the Steele and all that stuff. So we're going to see what's what. And what's happening here is overt. It's optics. It's happening in real life in the sense that the news media, they're not covering it and questioning the whole allegations, all of this stuff. And it's bigger than people realize. And you think it's just continued nonsense that Trump is spewing and just misinformation, all that stuff. But again, there's stuff behind all this if you do the research. And so let's see what happens. But he's being more overt about this, which leads me to believe that something is happening. Something's coming and we're going to see some arrests, some indictments and other stuff. But it has to happen slowly. Drip, drip, and then flood. So we're seeing the domestic prosecutions of the nonprofits. We're seeing the SPLC and many others. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing other dominoes fall before we get to some of those bigger guys. So again, this whole operation, multi-year, multi-decade, arguably, and with the takedown of the whole thing, it's not just one person, it's the whole deep state syndicate, this whole cabal network, everything that the White Hats have been building up to this point in time, it's being done slowly in his quote unquote second term here. And so even him mentioning recently in another post where he calls out, again, the Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the greatest political scams in American history, has been charged with fraud. this is another Democrat hoax, along with Act Blue and many others. If it is true, and listen to what he says here, the 2020 presidential election should be permanently wiped from the books and be of no further force or effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And again, many, many things that he's mentioned with regards to the 2020 election, and many of us doing research, continuity of government, having a halt, devolution because of it being stolen, that this whole 4 years have been some kind of pause as the military took over. And so he's giving clues here about what that 2020 election should look like. And as he says here with the SPLC and Act Blue and many others, let's see what things come from this. But again, there's a stair-step process to all of it, both domestic and international, as he is taking on this whole syndicate. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. So if you guys want to support me and my ministry and everything I'm doing behind the scenes, would love it. Everything is in the description down below. GiveSendGo.com/ChrisYoonyt. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.